Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Voicing My Wrestle Podcast, brought to you by Pro Wrestling Voice. I'm your host Andrew Sumpster and I'm the founder of Pro Wrestling Voice. You can find us on Twitter at PWVoice and you can tweet us about this podcast using the hashtag PWVPod. If you haven't already, then be sure to please check out our website, prowrestlingvoice.com, where we have an amazing team of writers each posting new articles each and every week about the wrestling that we love so much. Please be sure to also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pro Wrestling Voice, and like our Facebook page, Pro Wrestling Voice, to make sure that you catch this podcast each and every week, and also our Friday podcast each and every week. Now, I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get stuck into the first ever episode of the Voicing My Wrestle podcast. First of all, I'm going to start with talking about Wrestlemania. I'm just going to talk generally. I'm not going to talk hugely about it. What I've noticed since Wrestlemania, which I think is a bit uncalled for, there's been a lot of complaints. People are saying that it was an awful Wrestlemania, it was the worst ever. All this other nonsense, I think. What they're not realising is that there were so many good moments. I believe that a lot of us, well, all of us, are spoiled. We've been spoiled with how good WrestleManias have been in the past, with Daniel Bryan winning, with Seth Rollins winning, and with the overall pay-per-view. But this year, with a lot of injuries, I don't think we couldn't have expected it to be as special. Obviously, it's still going to be special at WrestleMania, and I believe it still was. There were huge moments. Rock and Cena teamed up to take out the Wyatts, with a returning Cena nonetheless. And Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, and Stone Cold Steve Austin took out the League of Nations and then delivered a stunner to Xavier Woods, but just after they had been gyrating with them. Anyway, first of all, let's talk about some matches. So the Intercontinental title match I thought was great. I love ladder matches, and this was no different. Stardust I thought was great. He is, as you'll learn if you keep listening to these podcasts, Stardust and Cody Rhodes are one of my favourite characters, one of my favourite wrestlers. I think they're both great. Obviously, both being the same person, I think they're great. I think the tribute to his dad, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, with the polka dots on his attire and the polka dots on the ladder, was brilliant. And I think it was a great touch, with a weekend of great touches for Dusty Rhodes. And that really stood out for me. Also, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens constantly going after each other in this match was a great feature, I think. And I believe this will continue for months to come. I expect them to rise together and fall together in the WWE. When one of them goes for the WWE title, the other one will be right there next to them. When one goes for the Intercontinental title, other one will be right there going with them. And I think they'll continue with a feud time and time again, all the way through WWE. Maybe, you never know, they could team up at one point. You never know, they have in the past, they could again. But I always expect it to end with Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, which is the lifetime rivalry. It is a rivalry of a lifetime, literally. The winner of this match obviously was Zack Ryder. He got his WrestleMania moment. However, since WrestleMania, something which I have noticed, and I'm not too fond of, is that he's constantly repeating the same thing for every promo. He took a picture with Razor Ramon, he saw the Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels match, blah blah blah. It's the same thing over and over, and it's already growing thin for me, which is why I was glad with what happened on Raw. Next, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was won by an NXT debut, Baron Corbin, a great heel and a great choice to win the Battle Royal, and I think this really could help push Baron Corbin, as will his Raw segment, which we'll get to later. The match that I think was the match of the night was the Women's Championship match. The Women's Championship match being the significant thing. No more divas. They are women. They are women superstars, which is brilliant. It is helping them to be more respectful to the division, give more equality to the division, and it really was an amazing match with a great story. And I believe this will lead, eventually, to Sasha Banks chasing the title, maybe winning it at SummerSlam, where she lost her NXT Women's title last year on the Brooklyn NXT show to Bayley. I think this year at the Brooklyn SummerSlam, she will win the WWE Women's title from Charlotte, who will hold it then, it seems like, first with a feud with Natalya. Maybe we'll get one against Paige. She's not been in it for a while. Will it carry on maybe with Becky and Sasha? Maybe with another person like Alicia or Naomi, maybe they'll come into the fray. We'll have to wait and see. I think this has many ways that it could go, and I'm really excited to see what is next for the women in WWE. Another great match of the night, I believe, was AJ Styles vs Y2J. I thought it was a phenomenal match, in the pun, but everyone is saying since then, or was until last night, oh, they've buried AJ, they had him lose to Y2J, he didn't get his WrestleMania moment. Oh, he got his WrestleMania moment. Being at WrestleMania was AJ Styles' WrestleMania moment. He said that before, and he bloody meant it. He's travelled around the world to get here, and he's got here, and he's bloody performed at WrestleMania against one of the best wrestlers in the world in Chris Jericho, in the culmination of a great, great feud. Next, a match that I thought really let us down at the WrestleMania 32 was Dean Ambrose vs Brock Lesnar. It was a match which I expected so much from. It had such a great build leading up to WrestleMania, and I really thought that we could have had a phenomenal match. The unfortunate thing was it was only given about 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes, what can you do? And what did they do? Brock Lesnar dominated. Suplex, 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 suplex. F5, done. 13 suplexes, one F5 onto chairs, and that's Dean Ambrose done. He didn't get to even, he teased the chainsaw a teeny bit. He kind of teased Barbie, but could they have used it better? Of course they could, but they didn't. It was a letdown to me, it really was. It could have been so much more, and then neither of them appeared on Raw. Which you can understand with Brock Lesnar, but with Dean Ambrose, I guess, playing off the injury angle, a little bit, but hopefully he'll stay off TV then for a little bit, and then his return can be a surprise, his return can come with more momentum or something. Next, a match I thought lived up to the hype was Shane McMahon vs Undertaker. It had the high spots, and that was it, really. It was a spot fest, and that's what we expected. We didn't expect it to be a great wrestling match, because that's not what Shane McMahon does. Shane McMahon isn't a wrestler, he's a businessman who wrestles occasionally, because it's his dad's company. That's what we expected, and that's what we got. We got great spots, and we got a phenomenal spot. What a maniac Shane McMahon is, diving from a 20-foot cage onto the announce table, going right through it, straight onto the floor. What an absolute maniac. He is crazy, and it was amazing. And then next night on Raw, he got something from this, which I thought was great. The last one I'll talk about, obviously, for WrestleMania was the main event, with Roman Reigns vs Triple H. Roman Reigns came out to a chorus of boos, just like we expected. Well, Triple H came out to cheers, I guess just like we expected again. Roman Reigns did end up winning, and he ended WrestleMania on a chorus of boos, which I think the WWE tried to put down a bit on their network and on the USA or whatever it was on pay-per-view. But I think we all know Roman Reigns was getting booed, and I personally think, I'm not a hater of Roman Reigns, I don't mind him, I think he's a good wrestler and I think he's a good athlete, but he's not a fan, and I think in that situation I'd probably have booed him too. I don't want him as champ, but we're going to have to now. We're going to have him as champ, and I think they should give him time. They don't want to end these reigns short like the other two. They should keep it for a while and see how it goes. Now for Raw. Raw started off really well. It started off with Vince McMahon bragging. Shane McMahon came out, said his goodbyes, before Shane McMahon was then given control of Raw for the night. Well, for the night, for a bit longer, we'll have to see. But it seems to me like it would just be for the night, and that'll be all we see of Shane McMahon. For a while, for good, don't know. But it started off with a New Day beating the League of Nations, successfully retaining their tag team championships. After this, the League of Nations talked in the ring. They said how there was a weak link in their group, and they expelled Barrett. They gave him the bro kick, and off he went, which was a shock in the night, but it wasn't really a shock in the long run, as Wade Barrett, is going to be leaving the WWE, as he's not signing a new contract. It seems like he could be off to New Japan Pro Wrestling. That is certainly what's being teased on Twitter, and it seems like he could be joining the Bullet Club over in New Japan, which is something that I would love to see. I think it would be great. After this, we had the Wyatts came out. They came out to confront the League of Nations in what looks like could be the next feud for both the factions, which I think would be great. It would be very interesting for both groups, and it would be something really new. It would be great, and it seems like Bray Wyatt's team is going to be the face team for this feud. Something we have not seen from the Wyatt family before, and something I am really interested to see how it will work. And I believe this is a feud they will win, and God to the Wyatt family need it, as we know. Next, on Raw, we had a lot of NXT debuts. We had Baron Corbin continue after his WrestleMania debut. He had a match against Dolph Ziggler, which he didn't win, but he didn't lose. It was a double count-out, and Baron Corbin carried on his NXT persona, blaming the officials like he used to with William Regal, which I thought was a great touch. And I think what should happen is Baron Corbin should be played as this dominant character, as he is a lone wolf, a dominant lone wolf, someone who will just demolish anyone in their way. And I think a feud with Dolph Ziggler is a great way to start, as Dolph Ziggler is someone that can really help Baron Corbin get over. Our second NXT debut of the night was Apollo Crews. Personally, I was really shocked that he debuted so soon. He's not been in WWE or NXT for a long time. However, he is an amazing performer and he is an amazing athlete. And he is someone I am very excited to see on the main roster, and I'm very excited to see what will happen in the long run with him on the main roster. I believe he is... Well, I definitely think he will be a future WWE champion. He will be the first black WWE champion. Either him or Big E. Big E of the New Day, because they're huge at the moment. They are the big money in WWE. So either Big E or Apollo Crews, I think, will be the first black champion. And I think Apollo Crews would be a great champion. He has everything. He has charisma of sorts. Some people say he doesn't have a character, but I think he does personally. He has great in-ring ability. He has great speed, great he's a great athletic build sort of thing. He will really stand out, and I think he was loved by the crowd there last night, and I hope this carries on. The last debut of the night was with Enzo and Cass, a debut we'd been expecting for a while, and I was loving it. They debuted interrupting the Dudley Boys in what looks like could be the first feud, and they are great, aren't they? They're such a fun team. Enzo Amore is incredible on the mic, and Big Cass, he can hold his own too. They're a team that you really will have to watch. I think they're going to be a slow build. They're going to beat the Dudley Boys in a feud. I'd love to see them maybe beat the Usos, or beat another team that's going to be debuting from NXT on SmackDown, the Vaudevillains, in a future feud. Don't just chuck them straight in there for the tag titles. Really let them get a slow build to the titles, so that when they get there, the fans will go wild, because they've waited so long for this. We had one title change last night, with The Miz beating Zack Ryder for the Intercontinental title. He had it for less than 24 hours, people. Less than 24 hours. Miz won with the help of a returning Maurice, who is obviously his wife. So I think this really shows that Zack Ryder really was just winning to get his WrestleMania moment, and that, well, he's already lost it. So is he going to go back down to main event and to Superstars and to NXT very soon? Or is he going to stay up for the long run? Is he going to have a feud with Miz and then maybe fade away? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Finally, the main event was decided earlier in the night. It was a fatal four-way between four people to decide the... that's stupid. What am I saying there? Four people, of course, for a fatal four-way. Silly me. But anyway, it was a fatal four-way between four people who wanted to be the next number one contender. It was for the number one contendership for the WWE World Heavyweight title. And it was between Y2J, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and it was meant to be Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn got demolished backstage by Kevin Owens, powerbomb through a table. It looked like Kevin Owens was doing this, number one, because it's Sami Zayn, and number two, to try get an advantage, obviously, because he thought it would be a triple threat. That's when Shane McMahon didn't put it as a triple threat, he left it as a fatal four-way, and we got a returning Cesaro, the Swiss Superman. He replaced Sami Zayn to a great ovation. It was great to see him back from injury. He is one hell of a talent, such an athlete, and such an incredible wrestler. I really hope that it is time for the WWE to push him to the sky and back, because if they do, he could be incredible. He could be the future for WWE, along with the man who, well, a lot of the men who were in this match. Kevin Owens, he could be the future. Sami Zayn, who wasn't in the match in the end, could be the future. And the man who won, AJ Styles, could be the future, because he just became the number one contender for the championship. This would suggest a huge push is coming for AJ Styles, which is well deserved. Yes, maybe he's only been in WWE for not even a couple of months, but WWE are really acknowledging AJ Styles' talent, and it's well deserved. He's travelled all around the world. Yes, he's competed in TNA, which they want to write off, but he's competed in TNA, in Ring of Honor, in New Japan, in all these different places, in WCW even. He performed there, and he was incredible back then, and he's phenomenal now. Mind the pun there, but he really is. He lives up to it each and every match, and he won with the Styles Clash, finally, and I really hope this carries on for a bit. I know they can't do it against everyone. They wouldn't do it against Roman Reigns, for one, because he's such a big guy. He'd have to lose by some other form, but I don't think he will. I think that Roman Reigns will win. I don't think it's a surprise. AJ Styles will be used to get him over. He'll be used to show that Roman Reigns can go in the ring. He'll be used to show that Roman Reigns can put on good matches if put with the right opponent, because AJ Styles is that right opponent, and AJ Styles will help Roman Reigns put on phenomenal matches. Yes, we won't get AJ Styles as champ now, and people will say, oh, they're going to bury him. They're going to bury him straight away, but they're really not. They're really not. They are just using the talent that he has to help build someone else. AJ Styles will be a future WWE champ. Maybe not only a one-time, he maybe will be a 2 or 3-time WWE champ, which is well deserved, and he will get it in the end, but we will not rush him there. I don't think we can rush him to it. It's not what is needed. He needs to get there, but he needs everyone to love him when he does get there, and I don't think this is the right time, but I think it's the right time for him to be in this feud at the same time. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, I've talked about WrestleMania, I've talked about Raw. Quickly, I'll talk about NXT Takeover, because that was the last event. I don't want to talk too much about it. All I will say is, wow. What an amazing show. It really did showcase the talent that WWE has to offer in their developmental system, because that's still what they consider it, is a developmental system, and they are all incredible down there. And let's be honest, we have, for WWE, a bright future ahead. Superstars like Austin Aries possibly coming to the main roster in the future, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Jordan and Gable. Phenomenal athletes, phenomenal wrestlers down in NXT who we cannot wait to see. Finally, what I'm going to do before I go and sign off for the day is talk about what I think will come for the next year before WrestleMania 33. There'll be some that you will probably agree with, there might be some that you don't agree with. I believe that John Cena by WrestleMania 33, or maybe at WrestleMania 33, will be a 16-time WWE champion. He will equal Ric Flair, and that is well deserved. He is the franchise of WWE, just like Sting was the franchise of WCW, and he deserves to be 16-time champ. I think he'll get to 17, and then that'll be him. But this year, I think he will get to 16. One that won't be a big shock to you, I think the Bullet Club will debut in the near future. It's been teased time and time again by Machine Gun Carl Anderson and by Doc Gallows and by Finn Balor. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe they'll join Finn Balor, maybe they'll join AJ Styles, maybe they'll all be together. We'll have to wait and see. It will be really interesting when they do debut to see how WWE utilise them. I cannot wait. Finally, I have 2 more predictions. One, that the Money in the Bank ladder match will be won by one of these 4 superstars. Either AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, or Cesaro. And the man I want to win is Cesaro. I think we need a face winner this year. The last 2 years we've got a heel. We've had Sheamus and we've had Seth Rollins, which is a great story to tell for the Money in the Bank briefcase. And maybe it's the best one to tell, but I think having a face hold the briefcase for this time would be really interesting, and I think that man will be Cesaro, and he really deserves it, because he deserves to be at least a one-time WWE champion in his career. Let's be honest here. Finally, what I think is that this year will be filled with more huge debuts in the WWE. We'll get, I think, Eric Young, who's left TNA. I think he'll come to WWE. It seems like we're going to get Bobby Roode. We're going to get loads of new talents in the Global Cruiserweight Tournament. And one that I think will be the biggest shock of the year, later in the year, I think we will get the Young Bucks debuting in WWE. Once their contracts are run out, which I think happens later this year, around October, September time, I think the Young Bucks will come to WWE, possibly just to be a tag team, possibly to NXT. What I would want, personally, is them to join the Bullet Club. Let's let that carry on and let that thrive in the WWE like it has on the independent scene in New Japan. Anyway, these are my predictions. What am I speaking like? These are my predictions, and this is what I hope will happen in the next year. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this week. I'm sorry it's been very fast-paced. I've talked about so much, and it will not be like this all week. I'll maybe be able to go into a bit more depth on a few subjects week after week. I'm going to try to get the fans involved. I want to hear your opinions through Twitter. Again, like I've said, using the hashtag PWVPod. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your ideas of what we could do on this podcast, because I want this to be a very fan-orientated podcast. Anyway, that is it for today, so thank you for listening to the Voicing My Wrestle podcast, and please do remember to subscribe to us on YouTube at Pro Wrestling Voice, and follow us on Twitter at PWVoice, like us on Facebook at Pro Wrestling Voice, and visit our website for new articles each and every day on the ProWrestlingVoice.com. So anyway, that is us till next week, so thank you again so much for listening, and until next week, I'm out.